Today I want to give you a quick tutorial on how to open the shell halves on the 350Hz Diablo Powerball or Diablo Ionic. It's a fairly straightforward process, but there is a technique, and as I say, I'm going to go through that with you here. This is a new one with the grip band on. This is just one that we've already taken the grip band off. It's a classic model, while that's a Pro. This is an auto start. This is one of the older cord starts, but just it'll serve to demonstrate. When you have the grip band off the ball, you will see that there are little small tabs extruding, or from one half extruding into these little slots on the rim of the other half. And the trick here is you're dealing with a very thin stainless steel shell that flexes when you squeeze it. So there are no screws. What you're trying to do is you're trying to squeeze the shell such that the little tabs disengage from the holes. The little tabs on one side of the one shell half disengage with the holes on the other side. And there's only one thing that there's two things you need to do. First of all, you need to find yourself a very solid surface. This is soft wood, and if I press down hard on this, it'll actually dent the wood. So we're just using a little metal surface here. But that's very important. You want something that doesn't yield, that's very, very solid. And what you want it is at a height which allows you to use your body weight, not your arms or your shoulders. You're literally going to be using the soft, fleshy part of your palm to press down on the circumference of the ball. But there's one caveat. There's an axle on that rotor that's running from there to there. It's a little stainless steel axle, little thin axle that runs across the center of that rotor and allows it to spin. You must not at any point press downward. You must not have the rotor at such a way that the axle is pointing up and you're pressing down, because what you're doing then is you're pressing directly onto the axle. There's a risk that you will deform the axle, and also the shell will not move because all of the energy is going into the axle and the shell won't flex. So the only requirement you need, apart from the solid surface, is to ensure that the axle is always diagonally, that you never press down directly on it. And so when we're just using a metal part here just because this wood is quite yielding. So I'm going to put the ball on its circumference. I'm going to make sure that the rotor is diagonally, the axle is diagonally. I'm going to actually start the pushing process. You can push as hard as you like. What you're trying to do is flex that shell such that it comes apart and yields. You can't break it because the actual shell will retain its original position after the exercise is finished. The only thing you need to do is to ensure, here we go. Now you can see here already that by pressing sufficiently, I've now disengaged one of the tabs from the slots. And this one is starting as well. So here we go again. We're going to go, again, we're watching for the axle, never pressing down on the axle. I'm pressing hard on the thing though, on the actual ball. You can really maybe pull it apart. No, not quite yet. Let's go around to the other side and press. Now, excuse me. I can feel it under my hand. I can actually feel the shell is starting to come apart, and here we go. Now it's almost apart. Again, being careful. So here we go. Now, and that's it. You literally press firmly until you disengage all of those little tabs from the holes and the shell pops apart. And you can see, that's one side, you can see that the shell is indeed very flexible, and that is the process that you need to follow. And putting the ball back together again, you can also see that it has retained its circular shape now that I've stopped pressing. Once you've done what you're doing, whether it's cleaning these rings, and by the way, we recommend you always use little white cotton gloves when you're handling any of these plastic parts, because finger oil on these plastic parts causes a disruption to the frictional relationship, and the ball won't respond to your subtle wrist turns. So either use a tissue to hold the parts, don't use your fingers directly, or wear these little cotton gloves and you'll be in business. And just give the rings, give this a good clean, I'm going to touch this anyway, it doesn't matter because we can clean it afterwards. Give this a good clean, and I'm talking about the platform that the ring rides on. And then there's another one buried in here. You can actually see, again, what I'm doing there, holding it with my fingers is not what you're supposed to do, but the ring is in there. Don't forget that one. Give that a good clean. Ideally use isopropyl alcohol if you want to give it a good proper clean, and do that twice. And then wipe the residue, any residue off the rings. Put the ball back together, snap it shut, and you'll be back in business. Okay, so again, give it a good flex. Avoid pressing downward on that axle. As you can see what I mean. If you were pressing down with your hand on that, you're going to deform that axle and it's going to damage your ball. So always have that at an angle and press firmly on the shell. Look, you might think, oh, this isn't working, but it will. Just be patient. It might take you 20 minutes, it might take you 5 minutes, it might take you 2 minutes. Just depends on where you're pressing, how hard you're pressing. It will yield and it'll come apart and you'll be able to open it. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching.